going to be starting A Court of Silver Flames, and if you know anything about me, I'm not Nesta's biggest fan. I love Farah, and I'm very like protective of Farah because I'm just like loyal. I love her. I stan her. Like, she is bae. Her and Reese are like everything to me. And so I have a negative bias against Nesta because I don't love how she's like been acting. I don't get it. Like, I'm reading this with Sarah from Sarah Lorraine Reads, and her and I have like discussed this in depth. I don't love Nesta because right from the beginning, like, she's always been a mega bitch. Now, like, after Akawar, I was like, oh my gosh, Nesta is like being, you know, she's like part of the group. Like, it seems like she's like assimilating, like she's coming out of this just like mega bitch, and she's like contributing and she's helping the group, which I really appreciated. And then it seemed like in A Court of Frost and Starlight, she really like regressed. How are you just gonna be straight up so disrespectful, not talk to them, tell them that you hate them, throw your like tantrums, and then like they're not gonna continue like paying for your shit? Like, why would they? So that's my issue with Nesta. Like, I'm just like not her biggest fan, but I'm very interested in this book because everyone says that it is revolving around mental health. You get that deeper dive into Nesta's point of view, obviously, and her and Cassian, everyone loves. So, and I love Cassian. Like, another reason I was mad at Nesta was because I was like, Cassian's literally the sweetest fucking person in the entire world to you, and like, it's so clear that he just like wants to take care of you and like help. And it's clear that Nesta likes him, and she's just like being so mean to him. I have started to read a little bit, and guys, I'm trying to get more comfortable with like annotating with pen. Like, that's a big deal for me. So I've highlighted some stuff, or not highlighted, but like underlined in pen where I used to use pencil. I don't know, like, I just feel so bad writing in my books, but I know that I'm going to like get so invested in this book that I'm like, okay, I have to tab it and I have to annotate. So yeah, I've been like putting some notes and like underlining. So that is an extremely long-winded intro to say welcome to this vlog. Hi lovelies, it's the same day. I read a little bit more of A Court of Silver Flames on my break, and I just wanted to do another update. I know that I'm wearing a different shirt, that's why I clarified that it was the same day. So I read up to page 94, and I'm just like loving this. And I'm also really surprised at how quickly I'm reading it. Like, I missed these characters so much, and I'm so happy to just be like returning to these characters, returning to the writing. Like, I'm just loving it so much. It's making me so happy. And I'm also still not the biggest fan of Nesta, but I really am enjoying the insights that we're getting into her like mindset. So obviously, like, there's gonna be spoilers in this vlog, so I'm gonna read a quote. It was on page 78 when we're like in Nesta's head. Like, obviously this is told in third person, but like it kind of flips between like Nesta and Cassian's perspectives when she says or like thinks, "I'm worthless and I am nothing," Nesta nearly said. She wasn't sure why the words bubbled up, pressing on her lips to voice them. "I hate everything that I am. I am so tired. I'm tired of wanting to be anywhere but in my own head." Like, I am depression. That is the worst feeling in the entire world. And like, I really appreciate like getting those like insights from her. I also just like, I love how snarky she is, like, for how mean she is and all of that. Like, all that aside, I love how like sharp and like quick-witted and like snarky she is, because I think that she has really funny like comebacks and stuff like that. Also on page, when was it? 71, when she goes to her first training session with Cassian, and she says Nesta wanted nothing more than to shove him off the nearby cliff edge. I'm dead. That's so funny. Like, I can't wait for more of Cassie and Nesta banter. Just so good. It's so stinking good. I read my buddy read section for the day. I cannot wait to read section 2 tomorrow. So I'm gonna read like 100 pages tomorrow, and I can't stinking wait. I'm loving this. I'm so happy because like I was a little bit worried going into it, but loving it. Hi besties. I haven't read too much more, however, I wanted to do a quick update. So I read up to page 168, chapter 15. And I am tabbing the freaking heck out of this book. Like, I feel like every page I'm underlining stuff. And there's so many just like perfect fucking quotes. I mean, perfect but sad. I do understand why everyone says like A Court of Silver Flames is really about like mental health, because there's a lot of like struggles in this book. And I like how honest the quotes are, how honest Nesta's feelings are. It's like heavy, but I appreciate it at the same time. This is something Sarah and I were talking about, how Nesta's relationship with the House of the Wind, and how cute it is, and how the house is like taking care of her and stuff like that, and they're like bonding, and she's like talking to the house, and it made me realize like Nesta doesn't let anyone take care of her in terms of like, you know, a person or another character that's in the book, but she lets the house take care of her, and I just think that's really cute. And I think that the house like knows that, like understands Nesta on a different level, even though the house, like, we're not sure if it's like a sentient being or not, but I think that the house knows that like Nesta is just very independent. She's going through some shit, and she needs someone to take care of her, and I love that like the house is that for her, you know what I mean? Besties, I am on page 258. I read up to chapter 24, and I am losing my mind, and I have so many thoughts that I had to do an update. Oh my god. So the smut scenes that I've gotten to so far, chapter 19 and chapter 22, I mean, I need to preface this with spoilers for like Crescent City and House of Sky and Breath. If you haven't read that yet, I'll leave like a timestamp or something, because this is a little bit spoilery. And it really has me questioning, like, where was this smut in Hosab? Like, this is what I needed. This is what I wanted for Hunt and Bryce. Sorry. It has me thinking like, okay, Reese and Farah were like mom and dad. Like, there's just like the classic like love story, like fated love type thing, and it was just very like classic. Like, for them the romance was like fated love, mates, marriage type thing. And then in this book we have some developments as well. So Farah just announced that she's pregnant, and I'm dying. I love that for them. But their like romance is very like mom and dad, and then Nesta and Cassian's is just like more, I don't even know, like messy. Theirs is just more like messy, and I love it. Daddy Reese is my number one, like always, but Cassian is so stinking hot at the start of chapter 23. You know, watching Nesta had been as close to a religious experience as Cassian had ever had. Like, I'm sorry. I am so sorry. I was not prepared for this. And then page 256, I was like, Nesta's such a freak, and I love that for her. So I'm gonna read up to chapter 27 today. We'll see what other juicy thoughts that I have, but like honestly, this is way better than what I was expecting. Sorry for the random like pop in, like it's so much later after I did my last clip, but I was just doing some of my June bullet journal and I was looking for a quote to put on one of my pages, and I came across this quote that I wrote down from The Cruel Prince in January. So like this is a long time ago, but I read it and I was like, oh my gosh, this is Nesta. Like, okay, so the quote is, "There's safety in being awful." And like immediately when I read it, I was like, that's what Nesta is doing. Like that is 100% what Nesta is doing. Like she pushes away all the people that she's like close to and that she loves, because like during the war, she was, well, everyone was traumatized, but she was really traumatized because she experienced firsthand her loved ones, like especially when Elaine was kidnapped after she herself was using the cauldron, and the cauldron saw her and like saw Elaine and then kidnapped Elaine. And then what happened with her father, those things happened and she realized, I can't care for people too much because it absolutely destroys me if anything happens to them. So now she's just awful to everyone that she loves because there's safety in being awful. What a day. Fam. Chapter 26. I have no words. Obsessed. Well, my friends, this book is taking over my life and my emotions. I read so much of this book yesterday. I think the last time I updated you, I was like, I updated my Goodreads and I was like 27% into the book. I'm now 52% of the way through the book. So I'm on page 395. I read up to chapter 38. Also, I had started this tab thing. It was unused when I started. Now I have like a handful of them left. So I swear every single page I'm like underlining and tabbing something. So much has happened since my last update and I'm so sorry. The smut scenes in this are undescribable. Like they are so stinking good. I really can't believe that Sarah J. Maas did us so fucking dirty in Crescent City and, you know, in the Crescent City series. Like, where was all of this? This is what we needed. I digress. I'm just absolutely freaking obsessed with, like, the games that they're playing with each other and with like their entire relationship, and Cassian is like the only one that's able to like bring her out of the darkness. I also love that Reese experienced her like nightmare, so she was having like a really bad dream. There were silver flames like all in her room. Everyone raced in. Reese came in. He like went into her mind because it was open. He experienced like what she experienced in the cauldron, and he was like, I had guessed, but it's really different like feeling it. And so I was getting a little bit annoyed with how Reese was acting towards Nesta, but I think that now that he experienced like what she actually went through in her trauma, that's going to like help that situation a little bit more. Also, we found out that Farrah's pregnant. We also found out that the baby has wings. Oh my goodness. I'm stressed. I know what's coming with that scene. I know like how intense it is, but I know that that's like a happy, like I know that the outcome is good, so it's just like stressful. And then they went to the bog, which was like, the imagery in this book is absolutely incredible. It was like watching a movie in my head. So they went to the bog to find these missing items. Nesta gets attacked by Nesta got attacked by that creature, and I can't remember like what its name is right now, which was terrifying, by the way. And then when you find out what it said when like Amryn translates like the memory, absolutely not, sir. Thank you. The Kelpie. The imagery, like the way that she described it, and then when Nesta finds the mask and puts it on and the dead are rising from the bog and Cassian and Azriel are like, what is happening? Like, what is this? Oh my gosh, it was so good. And then he calls her Lady Death. I was freaking screaming. I was absolutely screaming. I'm so obsessed. I'm just so obsessed. And they had sex for the first time. I was like, Yes, queen. I'm freaking out, as you can tell, obviously. Okay, so this is right after she has like her crazy dream, and it's on page 328. Like a knight guarding his lady, she couldn't stop the image sprung from the pages of her childhood books. Like a warrior prince with those tattoos and that muscle-bound chest. Her throat tightened unbearably, her eyes stinging. She would not let herself cry, not for herself or for the sight of him keeping watch beside her bed all night. I was like, hearts everywhere. I lost my mind. Oh, perhaps in voicing those truths, they'd given them wings and sent them soaring into the open sky above. Just know, like, I'm unwell and literally screaming when I'm reading this book. I also just love the little snippets that we're getting from Nesta. She's opening up like slightly. It's more like she's like letting things slip, and it's mainly with Cassian, but when she let this thought out amongst the inner circle and Farrah picked up on it right away, I was like, yes, queen. Nesta said, I don't know how to do those spells, Nesta said. I failed at the most basic of them while training with Amryn, remember? Farrah's head tilted to one side. Is that what you think, Nesta, that you failed? I'm so sorry about these construction noises. And immediately, like, Farrah was like, you didn't fail. And like, I love that. I just love that. Oh my gosh, I'm losing my freaking mind. All of my check-ins from here to the end of this book, just know I'm going to be absolutely manic. I'm going to spiral into a pit of despair that this book is over. So yeah, that's fun. So I just finished this when I was on sprints with Sarah and Baylee from Baylee Nicole Reads. And this was easily like the best ending to a book that I've ever experienced. Wow. So impactful, so amazing. I just love how this ended so much. Also, I do apologize because like the last that you heard from me, I think I was like closer to in the middle of this book, and now I'm just like, yeah, I finished it, but are we surprised? Probably not. So the section that I read yesterday, so many plot points happened. Like, they went to the prison, they cut the ribbon. If you haven't read this book, like none of this is gonna make sense to you, but like big plot points. Oh my gosh. And then just everything at the end. Like, I'm not surprised. I knew that the last 200 pages was going to be absolutely chaotic in true Sarah J. Maas fashion. And it delivered. Like, the Blood Right, the Valkyries, our girlies fucking killing it. I cannot deal with how much I love this book. I do still love Farrah and Rhys, but I would say Cassian and Nesta are like same, but here are the things that I really loved in this book that I think are very important and so different from Farrah and Rhys's whole like story. So Farrah was the hero of the story, and so she's like automatically very likable because she's the hero of the story. She's brave, she's strong, she persevered, like all of these things, right? She took care of her family, like whatever. Nesta was an antagonist right from the beginning and also not a very likable character. So the fact that this book is her redemption arc, I really appreciated. I thought it was done so well, and we finally got to peek behind the curtain of Nesta and figure out like what was actually going on to cause her to do all of those things and kind of like get a deeper dive into her behavior and her mental space. And her process of healing is so impactful. I love how this was written, and the fact that it shows that a healing process and your mental journey in general is not linear. That's really important. Like, you're going to return to some of your bad behaviors. You're going to try to return to your toxic behaviors. All of these things, like, it's like you have to break those bad habits and reform them to make new good habits. The part where she goes to confront Amryn and Farrah's pulled into it, I was like, Nesta, no. But I think that that moment was really important because she realized, okay, I'm hurting the people that I love when I fly off the handle like this, and it's not just the people that I love can be like used against me and hurt me. It's that like when I'm emotional and in a rage and I rage at the people that I love, I'm hurting them. And that was just, And then also the fact that Cassian is there for her and shows her that everyone deserves love and happiness. Regardless of what happened in your past, that's your past. It doesn't mean that you don't deserve love, and it doesn't mean that you don't deserve to be happy. That is so important. And to show her and demonstrate to her through his actions that regardless of what she does, even if he's mad at her and is making her hike up these mountains and like all of these things, he was there for her from her highest highs to her lowest lows to demonstrate to her, you deserve to be loved and I'm going to be here for you no matter what. And that is such a beautiful love. Like, that is just such a beautiful love story. So obviously I gave it 5 stars. I don't think that we're surprised by that. It was so stunning. I'm like kicking myself for waiting so long for reading this book. The other like ending thoughts that I will leave you with is I want Gwen to be with Az. I'm team Gwen and Az. I don't want Elaine to be with Az. I don't think that shouldn't happen. I will be upset if that happens. And I love Nyx, or however you say the baby's name. I'm obsessed. I loved that. I didn't mind the birthing scene. Like, I liked what happened with Nesta in that birthing scene. I was so stressed at the end. I swear I read the last 80 pages in like 40 minutes. It was wild, insane. If you want to see Sarah and I's like live thoughts as well for the last like 200 pages, us like screaming and like laughing, that was really fun. And I will link Baylee's reading sprints that we did in the description box below if you want to go and check those out. They were super, super fun. And Baylee was an absolute doll. Thank you again, Baylee, for hosting us. So yeah, this was a 5-star read. Like, I cannot deal with how much I love this book. And also I'm really curious with where they left off Eris's character. I thought that that was really interesting that in the last couple chapters, Cassian like revisited him and kind of unsurfaced something about Eris. That was very, very interesting. So what a whirlwind this vlog has been, but I hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, please be sure to give it a big thumbs up, subscribe to my YouTube channel. My other socials are always linked down below. I have the 2 Instagrams, I have a Twitter, I have my Goodreads. I will see you there, and I will see you in the comments, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye, friends.